to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Before we get to today's episode, I want to let you know that this show is a best of show episode. That is when we bring back some of the most talked about, most downloaded episodes from the last 10 plus years on A Well-Designed Business. These are the episodes that built businesses, that sparked aha moments, that turned listeners like you into action takers. And a quick heads up, these episodes are airing just as they originally did. That means the music might sound familiar or it might sound a little vintage. That means the event dates that are discussed are going to have been long gone. And the offers that are mentioned in the episodes may or may no longer be valid. But the insights, still 100% valid, still golden. So whether this is your first time hearing this episode or your fifth time, there's something in this conversation for you right now in this season of your business. One more thing before we go. This episode features a guest who is also a board member in my Boardroom for Creatives. The Boardroom for Creatives is my curated expert platform where you can book a 50-minute one-on-one session with a vetted expert across sales, marketing, operations, finance, or leadership. Every board member is handpicked for their skill and their expertise and the results that they deliver. It's not simply a directory of business consultants. You can be assured when you book a board member, you are going to get a session with someone who has already solved the exact problem you're facing right now. Keep that in mind as you listen to today's show. Because if you get value from this particular guest, if you resonate with this guest, understand you can go directly to the Boardroom for Creatives and book a session with them. Head over to boardroomforcreatives.com to learn more about today's guest, but also to see the full roster of board members and book your next session. Alrighty, let's get on with today's show. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. We all know that marketing matters, but often when I'm talking to newer business owners, I realize that often marketing is misunderstood, especially when it comes to marketing to the luxury client. My guest today, Robyn White, understands both of these very well. And today she's here to talk about what marketing actually is and how marketing for the luxury client is different and how you need to incorporate your personality and your story into your messaging. I connected with Robyn through our good friend of the show, Nancy Ganskaufer. And if you're not sure who Nancy is, she was on the show many times. She's a co-author in my first Power Talk Friday Experts book. And she was recently on the podcast, number 841, telling us about her Profit Insiders for Interior Designers coaching program. So if you're new and you haven't heard about her, I encourage you to go to our show notes and we'll put the link there. Now, what I know is anybody that comes to me through a referral from Nancy is going to be somebody who knows their stuff. Okay. Robyn White is the owner and founder of RDW Design Studio, a boutique website design studio located on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Robyn specializes in helping interior designers, architects, stagers, and organizers elevate their website so that it reflects the high quality work that they're doing and so that their business has the online home that it deserves. Through her website design, she positions her clients as the premium choice by making the right first impression online. Before we get to the show, a reminder to check out LuAnnUniversity.com. If you're struggling to create systems in your design or window treatment business, if you want to know how to create a design for construction spec book, if you want to know how to up your marketing game to fill your pipeline, well, we have a class for you. Go to LuAnnUniversity.com to learn more and to learn when the next semester is starting. All right, happy to introduce you to Robyn. Hi, Robyn. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Hi, LuAnn. I'm happy to be here.
So first of all, a huge shout out to our mutual friend, Nancy Ganskaufer, for introducing us. And I'm so happy that she did. And a high five and hello to my friend, Nancy. Here's the thing. We are going to talk about marketing and branding and all the fun, good things today. And you said to me when if anybody's been on the podcast, I always sort of get your opinion. Like, where do you think we start? What's our tipping off point here? And I had a thought that what it was, and you said, I'd really like to start with what is marketing? And I thought, all right, let's do it. I think I know what that is. I think people do, but you know what? As soon as I heard you say that, I literally said to myself, I'm going to learn something. So Robyn, tell us what is marketing?
Excellent question. So marketing, I would just like to start out and say, it's not sales. Marketing is how you generate awareness about your business. It's creating energy and putting things out in the world. And it's about creating a connection. And without marketing, you can't generate sales, because if people don't know your business exists, you can't sell your product or service to people. And I would just love to say that the more marketing you do, the more you'll start to realize that people don't care that much about what you're trying to sell to them, because it's not about them. When you turn the tables and make your marketing all about how you help them and what problems you solve, they become interested. Marketing to high-end clients is really different, because your services aren't necessarily a necessity. You're still solving a problem, but sometimes it's more emotional. So let's just take a few examples. Like a luxury watch brand is selling status. They're not just selling a timepiece. A luxury perfume is selling attractiveness and confidence. And a luxury hotel is selling comfort, complete relaxation, and even status.
So I did learn something. Yay. We can all leave now. LuAnn loves it when she learns something. Okay. So two things that it's funny. I feel like when you have conversations like these, especially if you've been in business a minute or two, you sort of hear it and you're like, oh yeah. Right. And so what it strikes me as, my friend Jessica Harling gave me a book by David Allen called Getting Things Done. Is it that book? Now I'm going to go crazy. Or is it like one of the Mike Michalowicz books? See, I hate when I forget the little detail like that. But Robyn, one of these books talked about what is the next first thing to do, right? So you're going to build a website, and it's like, okay, well, are you going to pick your colors? No. The next first thing to do is hire a website developer, right? Like it's not. Back it up again. It's interview and research website developers, right? And so when you talk about marketing is building the awareness of your company, that reminds me of that process of really breaking something down so that you actually can effectively do the next step. So the first step in, let's call it selling, is all the way backed up to marketing, which is building the awareness that you even exist. Correct? Am I reading you right?
Exactly. And I love what you just said about that first step. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I wish I knew which darn book it was in, because, and here's what I'm just telling everybody. Just read both books. They're both great. So, okay. So the thing is then we have the nuance of selling to the luxury consumer and marketing, I should say, clarifying marketing to the luxury consumer, because that is a very different thing. And I also know that each of us enters the marketplace in I am the same person, but I'm going to enter the luxury marketplace for one item, and for another item, I might not enter the rug. So if I'm going on our, 30-year anniversary, vacation, I might enter the luxury marketplace for the hotel. But if I'm going to buy my grandkids sneakers, I might enter Walmart. So I'm the same person, but different things have to market and call to me. And if we restrict this conversation to luxury, I think it'll make more sense for our purposes. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. Okay. So is the next thing in this conversation, once we understand exactly what marketing is, do we then need to clarify marketing to the luxury client? Is there another nuance there?
The luxury client is somebody who buys very differently and looks for very different things than, let's just say, your average consumer. So you need to market to them in a different way, in a way that is going to make them buy into you, your brand, your business, your service or product. A way to do that is to be a perfectly framed mirror. If the high end client is your ideal client, your dream client, they want to see what they want reflected back at them. So they know that they can trust that you can deliver. So let's use a website for an example. They want to see when they land on your website exactly what they're looking for. So as they're sort of scrolling through that figurative hall of mirrors, let's call it, unless what you do and your work is framed in the right way to make you stand out and make them stop in their tracks, you're kind of just a pane of glass.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
So I get this. What you're saying to me, check me, is I've used the example often on the podcast. One time I was at a live event and a designer came up to me and said, I'm having a hard time attracting the luxury client. I'm a luxury designer. And I happened to say to this designer, let me see your website. And I looked at it and it was not luxury. It was, basically a combination of a window treatment website and a design site. And I just said, here's the disconnect. I'm looking at, when I scroll through enough to look at your portfolio, I agree. You have the chops to confidently declare I'm a luxury designer. But the website was talking to me as if there was a combination of maybe I'm going to get a deal on Hunter Douglas blinds and maybe this is going to happen and maybe that is going to happen. So it's that, like when you say reflect the frame in the mirror, is if I'm a luxury client, I'm looking for a luxury interior designer. When I actually look at the interior designer's website, everything has to reek luxury as well.
Yes, it all has to fall into place. And I love what you say about the woman whose work was luxury, but her website wasn't. And that kind of goes back to your brand foundations,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing very clearly who your ideal client is and having a true understanding of what their problems are, what words they use, how to speak to them, empathizing with them, and also understanding that, this is something really interesting. We all make snap judgments, and first impressions are so important.
Mm.
And if they land on your website, and even if it's a referral, let's say their best friend down the street worked with you and loved what you did and referred this next person to you, they go to your website and the high quality of work that the neighbor referenced isn't reflected in the presentation of your website. That disconnect is going to immediately instill a lack of trust.
Right. Right. It feels like what's the, which one is the lie, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you have a little bit more latitude there if they actually saw the finished product, right? But how often is that the case? Most people are coming to your website, finding you from a Google search or a casual acquaintance or an Instagram post or something like that. Um,
Mhm.
and it's so funny because I've also used, I don't know if it's live in a live presentation or on the podcast, I've used the example of when you go to refer somebody to a restaurant, and if the referral is, oh my goodness, they have the best, pasta vazul, but don't judge the way the restaurant looks. Like it's a dive, it's gross, but sit down and order the pasta vazul and the, the penny bolognese and you're going to be thrilled. It's like if you have to give a but with your referral, like there's something wrong, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we've all been there. We've all been there, whether it's, a handyman that we refer, it's another trade, it's a business. We've said, oh my goodness, he does the best work ever, but he's never going to call you back or he's going to be late every time he comes. Like that is not how the luxury client operates. They want all the, pistons firing on all the things, whatever that expression is, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for them, it's an experience. You have to give the right customer client experience to them. It's not just about the service that you provide, but it's the journey that you're providing with your service. They have an expectation of receiving that from you. So that needs to come across in your messaging, in all of your social media posts. In your website, all of your marketing efforts in your print, that you're delivering on this special journey.
It's funny because I do think that business owners can underestimate the importance of telling enough about not only yourself as a person and the team, if you've got an in-house team, and I've seen designers include their outside vendor teams too. I mean, it can be effectively done. I think that people can tend to underestimate that importance of really telling about A, who you are as a person, and B, what it actually is to work with your company, what the steps are. I was looking at a designer's website recently, and it was like, what I used to say on the show all the time? If I read your website, if your name isn't even on there, that was the case of this recent one. The name of the designer was nowhere on the website. The state, location, nowhere on the website. Nothing about process and service. Beautiful portfolio, but I cannot tell you how. First of all, as doing what I do, I'm just like, how in this day and age is this happening? But secondly, just as a garden variety human, I'm saying there's nothing here that compels me to reach out. The beautiful work is not enough. And what I have often said to interior designers is, if I can read a page on your website and I can substitute any person's name for this because there's nothing so specific that is only you, then you haven't done your job in really explaining to me who you are and what it's going to be like to work with you, right, Robyn?
Yes, yes, yes. I love everything you just said, LuAnn. And oh my goodness. So, one of my biggest pet peeves is going to a website and not seeing where they're located, what their name is, and oh my God, a picture
Yeah.
of them. That is the name and the picture of you. It is so, so important for building that know, like, and trust factor that we all hear so much about. How can a potential client start to feel any trust in you and your business if they don't know your name and they can't see a photo of you? And how can they let you into their home not having that basic information? I won't even go down the tangent of the location part of it, but yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. And then to speak to your next point about the process, what is so important in your website and all of your marketing is what makes you and your business unique. There's a ton of other web designers out there. There's a ton of other interior designers out there. And we all bring something unique to the table. We all have had different life experiences that have prepared us to do what we do in a unique way. And it is so important to share that story with your potential clients and in your messaging, because people are going to hire people they feel a connection with.
Mm-hmm.
So, sharing these experiences is so very important. And, if you have a unique way that you do what you do, if your process is a little different, by all means share that so people can see that you have a really interesting way of working.
Mm. And I have found I think it's getting much better, especially since the beginning of the podcast and the interviews that we've had to now. Um, that 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 tends to trip people up right there. Well, what is unique about me? In the beginning, we used to always call it our Fred Burns only, right? Because Fred Burns
Mhm.
would come on and say, "What is the only thing that we can say about you? We'll put it on there." And so it does trip people up a little bit, because I think that people forget how special and unique they are, and they also forget that it doesn't have to be a big differentiator, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'll just say, don't worry if you can't figure it out right away.
Hmm.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And I'll use myself as an example. When I started my business, I was using something different than what I'm using today in terms of what sets me apart and makes me unique. And when I look at that, I was like, how could I not have seen that from the get go? And I just didn't. It took me a while. And you can have different iterations of it as well as your business grows and evolves. But we all have experienced different things, held previous jobs, whatever the case might be, that make us uniquely equipped to solve the problems that our ideal clients are facing.
Right, right. I mean, that the thing is, when you say you don't really always know it at the beginning, right? I know Nicole Heimer has always, from Glory and Brand, has always, I always remember hearing in her head, um, and hearing in my head her saying to me, "LuAnn, ask people why they
Yes.
work with you. Ask people why they selected Window Works, or they want to be on your podcast, or they are wanting to become members of Exciting Windows." Because sometimes what happens is you're not really sure, but what we find, especially at like Exciting Windows, almost every single person that comes to Exciting Windows is saying, "Yes, I'm a window treatment company. I'm profitable, but I feel like a chicken without a head. I'm like running around without system and process." And of course, you just found the VIN man, like the systems guy. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, when that happens, two things happen, right? Two things happen. We start to use that in our messaging. But then, secondly, we just automatically smile and we feel like, okay, we know we can help this person because this is his superpower, right?
Hmm. I think that's brilliant what Nicole said. And one easy way to do that, if you're not comfortable asking, is read through past client testimonials that you've received and see what kinds of words pop up over and over again. And you then know, well, this is something that stands out, that makes you unique, that several clients of yours have noticed, and you can start playing into that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So the thing is, we have to do some work. We have to figure out what makes us different, what is the unique differentiator. If we're not 100% sure, we can work through it a little, or we can ask some clients that we've done some work with. But then what we have to do is we have to then translate this into credibility, right,
Yes.
Robyn? So how do
Yes.
we do that?
So credibility is so important for the high-end clientele. They need to know that you have the expertise to deliver on what you're saying you can do. And one fantastic way to show credibility is those all important client testimonials.
Okay.
And those should be featured on your website, social media posts. You can feature those in your email marketing, but nothing is a stronger sales pitch than words that aren't yours, a
Mhm.
previous client saying how wonderful you are. So that is tip number one, to
Okay.
really make use of client testimonials. And I'll just say, from my standpoint, when it comes to your website, I don't actually recommend a completely separate testimonials page because I
Mm.
don't think everybody is really going to go there.
Mm.
What I think is a much smarter thing to do is take little excerpts from the longer testimonials that your clients give you and sprinkle those on the various pages of your website. So pull out a sentence that speaks directly about you. That should go on your about page. A sentence that speaks directly about your full service design, that should go on that service page, things like that. So the social proof from your client is right on the page that it belongs on.
I love it. I have to say, I just can't not say that Nicole is exactly the same way. you know, she also is like, and that's what she said, we're going to sprinkle them all the way throughout. And this one is going to go on this page and this one's going to go on that page. So, that's just awesome. When you're a professional, you know what you're doing, the information and the message lines up, right?
Yes, yes. And
Okay.
then another way to show your credibility is, highlight publications that your work has been featured in, podcasts that you've been a guest on, guest blog posts that you might have written, articles that you might have written, let's say for Business of Home, something like that. But you want to show that you are an expert in your field and you're knowledgeable about what you do. And another way that you can show that knowledge is blogging.
Okay.
Um, Now, I will say, um, blogging, when you're really trying to attract the luxury market, they're not really going to read those blog posts. Let's be honest. They're
Right.
hiring you to be the expert. They don't want to know how to find the right contractor, how to pick the perfect paint color for your kitchen. But having those posts written and on your website does establish you as an expert in your field. So they might peruse it, but they're not going to be reading it in the same way that a different kind of client might read those posts.
You're 100% right about that because again, just filtering so much of these suggestions through my experience with looking at, what is it, 5, 10 interior designer websites a week? Gosh, help me.
Mhm.
Okay. um, what happens is that's a very interesting observation because when I come to somebody's website and the blog page is there, and especially if it's laid out really smartly, where it's, maybe it's a picture, it's a box, it's a picture, there's the title, and I don't care if there's 3 sentences to it because I almost never read it, but I will skim the titles. And you know what exactly the assumption I make is if the title says how, why we use flat fee versus, hourly. And then the next title is, how we select our vendors and trades. And the next title is, why we blah, blah, blah. I literally just realize as a garden variety human, I make an assumption because that title says that you've actually supported that.
Mhm.
Like I never actually read it to say, do you know what you're talking about? Right? I just literally say, my goodness, there is a dozen blog posts here on almost every aspect of running an interior design firm. This is a well-run firm. Duh. Like, I don't, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I
Yes,
will
it's
tell
the
you,
perception.
yeah. And that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying is it's like, and the interesting thing is you would think in my vetting process, I would actually say, well, I have to read the article to see if it makes sense, but I don't. I'm just observing my own behavior here. I don't, but I've also can tell you, I've never had that impression of somebody having a well-run firm based on the website visit and the interview didn't support it. I've never, ever said, holy cannoli, you are so not what your website is. You are not nearly as buttoned up. And that's regardless. I mean, you're never going to hear me on the show say you're not buttoned up, right? But
Right.
I know the difference in an interview. I'm just going to tell you. so that's an interesting thing because the perception, it's so almost like if you go back to your example of the watch, right? If the watch is, I don't know what watches cost, if it's $10,000, but it comes to me in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc baggie, like you get sometimes jewelry at a costume place, I'm going to look at you like you're out of your mind, right? It has
Right.
to be wrapped up in all of the accoutrement. And so those blog posts and those testimonials and all of those things are kind of like the wrapping on what I'm expecting as the interior product that I'm going to purchase, right?
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
kind of goes back to luxury is an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you want that watch, that very expensive watch, to be presented to you in an elegant, extraordinary, exquisite way. And that's very important. And that's all part of that brand. The box it's in, the bow that's around it, the bag that you carry it out of the store in, it's all a part of it. And that's why, that experience, that client journey is so important.
Definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so now, Robyn, we've talked a little bit about, understanding who we are, what we do. This is getting a grip on our brand, right?
Mhm.
And really, I think what we're saying is this is the foundation of everything, of you first understanding your brand and then the messaging and communicating it. Is there other ideas or concepts surrounding that you would want to share before I move on?
Absolutely. You can say that you're luxury until you're blue in the face, but actions and visuals speak louder than words. So if there's a disconnect between your messaging, claiming that you're a luxury provider, service provider, and how your brand looks, that's going to breed distrust and suspicion in the minds of your prospective clients. So the the brand visuals are incredibly important because that's what people will see before they read anything.
Okay. Okay. I mean, and it's true. Most people are not going to do a deep dive on the reading. They're going to do the
Mm-mm.
skimming.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
And it's really important that the way your brand is presented visually comes across as elite and exclusive and unique because that's what they're looking for.
Mhm. And it has to go along all touch points, correct? It can't just be, oh, my website is good and my social media isn't. It's like almost don't have a social media if you can't feed the beast at the level that you are portraying on the website. Is that am I right on that or where do you feel?
Abs-
Okay.
Absolutely. You have to keep a consistent aesthetic across all touch points. And it's not just digital. So yes, website and social media and emails, but also print. And think about your office space. If you're doing any type of Zoom calls with your clients, prospective clients, if you do a discovery call on Zoom, make sure what they're seeing behind you and how you present yourself also ties in with your brand aesthetic. Everything just ties together. People can get impressions off of more than just your digital world.
That's an outstanding observation. I have to tell you. The simple thing if you're doing Zoom calls, because in the last 2 weeks, I've had two podcast interviews that I'm now randomly saying to people, we say clearly, it's no video, it's no video, no video. And now I'm randomly saying to people, if you want to do video, everybody wants me to do video. I'm going to start to do these by video. And I had two designers, one last week and one the week before. The one designer was like, okay, that can work, but you got to give me 15 minutes. And literally, it was 5 minutes, but literally the designer called her assistant, and I'm watching them in the camera. There they are. They're moving books. They're setting up a plant. They're like
Yep.
literally staging the back, right?
Hmm.
Like behind them, which prior to that, I thought looked completely fine. You know what I'm saying? And like literally completely stage it at the way only a designer could. And then another designer said to me, there's no way I can get this place in order right here, right now. I just have had a big, team design session. It's chaos here right now. No, we're not doing video. And what I like is that they were both protecting, to your words, the actual entire experience. So they're going to come on the show, talk about how their business is and what their processes are and their systems and that who they serve. And then they were absolutely aware that if anyone watched it on YouTube as opposed to listen to it on a podcast app, they didn't want the disconnect. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yes, that's very cool. And it's really important,
Mm-hmm.
especially for that initial discovery call where this is the first, um, call it face to face interaction you're having with that potential client. They're looking at everything. They're looking at you, how you behave, your body language, and they're looking at what's behind you. And, styling those shelves and getting the right books there and the right plant to um, be cohesive with who you are and your brand is so important. And you need to be authentic. I would just like to say that. I
Hmm.
mean, I think that being authentic in your brand is incredibly important. Like if you're fun and whimsical,
Hmm.
don't try to appear as,
In a wingback
serious.
chair.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
be who you are, be authentic, because if you're trying to be someone you're not and you're trying to speak a way that doesn't come naturally and you're setting things up in a way that's not you, that's going to come across and that's going to build distrust too.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's so funny because I can't remember who the podcast episode was with but it was way back in the beginning when I was really, um, honing my knowledge on branding and, the cohesiveness of your message and all the things, and I can remember making the wrong assumption that if you were, and I remember saying, like, we were having this conversation about the luxury client and attracting the luxury client and everything looking the part and feeling the part and all of it aligning. And I remember making a wrong assumption saying, so honestly, then, so I'm not going to uh, think I'm going to attract a luxury consumer and then show up on the first visit in, some funky cut off jeans and a t-shirt, and totally expecting whoever the branding expert was on that episode to say, absolutely not. You've got to, and she said, unless that's the look of your brand. And if
Yes.
that's already been communicated through your website and through your social, then they've hired you thinking, I want this person who is going to deliver a quality experience, but is going to show up in flip flops or sandals and some, cut up jeans. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, and that was a big aha for me. I remember that.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of understanding that whoever you are is okay. It's just be that person in every place that you show up, right?
Absolutely. And there's no right or wrong.
Right.
It's whatever is true to you. And then you just want to be consistent and cohesive across all elements and everything that you do so that you're coming across as authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a cut off jeans, flip flops, and t shirts kind of person, let that come across in your brand and how you are and how you speak and what your message is. And people will buy into that. And that's
Mm.
great.
Yes.
And if that's not you, then don't try to be that.
Right. Yeah. I remember the aha for me was it doesn't matter if my style is super casual or my style is super tailored. What it matters is I don't have all my about me and all my headshots and all my things on my website showing me in a suit and, my clackety clack heels and all the things sitting on the edge of my desk as an interior designer and show up in flip flops, because then it seems like you weren't important to me today to get dressed. Whereas if you see what I'm saying, right? Because
Yes.
the message is your website says this is what you think is the professional look for an interior designer, but yet you didn't wear that to my visit. Whereas if your whole website is you sitting with your dog and you've got your cutoffs and then you're at the beach and blah, blah, whatever the things are, it's
Mhm.
just has to be the same. And that's pretty cool. Oh,
Yes. And that
okay.
goes back to credibility as well, LuAnn.
Right.
You know, showing up in person as you're presenting yourself online is part of that credibility.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Okay, and so we do the work. We figure out who we are, how we establish ourselves, how we separate ourselves. We ask our clients if we need to. Then we start to make sure that all the visuals and the actions and the words all line up. And then I guess the final thing is really, I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but really understanding how critical that first impression is if we've missed a step. Do you agree?
I agree. Yes, because you only get one chance to make a first impression. And we can call ourselves the least judgmental person on earth. We're still judging everything that we see. And people buy in to what they see. Um, the actual attracting and booking premium clients isn't necessarily about how great you are at what you do. It's about how great people think you are. And
Mm,
that's all part of that first impression.
right.
Um, so, for example, if an average company invested into looking premium and built that facade, um, they could convert better than a business whose services are really top notch and stellar, but looks cheap and DIY,
Right. Right.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
It's a tough thing. It's a tough
Hmm.
thing to overcome. That's what it
Yes.
is. I think that's the critical thing to understand is that if you have that disconnect out there, whether it's from your social to your website or for your website to showing up on Zoom or from your Zoom to showing up in person, whatever the disconnect happens, once it happens, it's a pretty big alarm bell in the client's mind, right?
It really is because again that kind of goes back to that no like and especially trust factor.
Mhm.
Um, why are you putting out one thing into the world when you're delivering something else? And that disconnect causes distrust. It also kind of shows that you're not as maybe confident as you should be. Um, maybe you're not as confident in the amazing work that you produce if your visuals and your messaging aren't all in alignment with your fabulous work.
Mm, mm.
And that confidence is incredibly important to attract a luxury client.
One thing that I wonder is,
Mhm.
I'm super lucky to have Nicole Heimer, and she is the creative director for all of our brands and all of our companies. And she really is the steward, and she really does guide us and everything. She'll look right at me and say, "No, Lou, you can't have that." I'm like, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't have that. We can't put that up there. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was great. She's like, no, right. So I'm super lucky, and I'm sure your clients feel the same way about having you with them hand in hand. But the thing is, what happens when you're starting out and you are, not necessarily in a position to make the type of financial investment in companies like yours and Nicole's that are at the higher end of the food chain for this? Is it and is it that better to have one or two great pages on a website than 6 pages that are ridiculous? Or is it better to just have a page that says coming soon and acting like it's in construction? Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of younger, newer businesses. So I don't mean younger people, but younger in businesses that a website is a significant investment, and we're talking about it like it's a non-negotiable.
Mhm. Right. So it's such a great question, LuAnn. I actually will often recommend to brand new business owners who come to me for a website that they shouldn't invest in a custom website yet. And the reason for that is I really believe for most businesses, within those first 2 years that you're in business, so much changes. So you can start out saying that you are going to offer X, Y, and Z as your services, and you're going to focus on this um, as your target audience. And, you know, 12 months in, you might decide you don't like doing Z, you don't want to offer that service anymore. That target audience isn't who you enjoy working with. You want to switch it to this. And I just feel like so much evolves. You learn so much about yourself, who you really like to work with, what you really like to offer as a service, that um, I going the template route or even DIYing it yourself in the beginning is perfectly fine.
Okay. So the option is really the template route and doing it yourself, or even if you have
Mhm.
to pay somebody $20 an hour because they're, it's probably, one of your kids or their friends, right?
Right,
To
yeah.
do it.
And then as your business grows and evolves and you have much more clarity on everything, I feel like that's when it makes more sense to do the investment and working with a professional and getting a custom website that's strategically designed for your specific business.
Right, right. I love
Yep,
it. I love it
yep.
because there are different places where we are in our different businesses, and I know certainly over the years we have invested more and more in our business websites, but it's also as the business has grown, and of course I've learned the importance of it and so forth, and even then I got to tell you, like if I, you know, it is something that it's tough because you do it, and to your point, like your point of view changes, different things change, and if you're not always looking at it, it's sort of like you really do have to kind of come back to it every 2 or 3 years and say, huh, what are we doing here now? This isn't
Mhm.
us anymore, or this doesn't express all the things that we do, or we've morphed this service, and that's a tough thing to stay on top of, but it's important, right?
It's very important. And having a website, I think, is very important, even if it's not professionally done. I feel like it's the yellow pages of
Yes,
today.
I agree.
As a business, you have to have one. And I feel that the message that it sends to potential clients if you don't have one is that maybe you're a hobbyist or you don't take your business seriously.
Hmm.
So far better to have something up there that's not perfect and professional, but you've got all the basic information that a potential client would need to work with you, to
Right,
contact you,
right.
to see your portfolio. And let's be honest, when you're first starting out, you probably don't have the budget for professional photography for your portfolio either.
Hmm.
Right. And some people, when they're first starting out, don't even have any projects under their
Right,
belt.
right, right,
So, it's that's when you need to photograph your own home
right.
that you've done, put up mood boards and renderings just to show what you're capable of doing. And your website, I like to view websites as living creatures. You can't just put it up there and leave it. You really do have to stay on top of it and constantly be tweaking to it and making the changes as your business changes.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely, 100%. I love it. You know, can you think of anything that I left out of the conversation?
One thing I would absolutely love to just mention is when a high-end client is making a luxury purchase, it's an emotional decision. It's made from the heart, not the head. So you really want to, in all of your marketing, in your messaging, you want to appeal to their emotions in what you're doing. Because if you can, when they're buying with their head, it's a need. And when they're buying with their emotion, it's a want. And there's a big distinction there. So that's
Mm.
just a little tidbit I wanted to share that can really, truly make a big difference.
I love that. That is so true. I mean,
Hmm.
honestly, luxury
Yeah,
is a want, not a need. Period. Right
it
there.
is.
I
It
mean, the
is.
definition of luxury. I think I did an article on Window Fashion Vision last year about that because I think they're, every once in a while, like I come up with my own topics, but every once in a while they give me a topic. And the topic was, the luxury consumer. And of course, that magazine is primarily for the window treatment industry, which is different, right? It's an adjunct industry. Our businesses are a little different. It's not necessarily all wrapped up in as much beauty and expectation of luxury as the interior design industry is. But I remember making the case, even selling a wood blind is a luxury transaction, because when they come to a professional window treatment person for that, they have decided not to go to the box store. They've decided not to take their own measurement. They've decided not to go to the box store, drive all the way down there, look through 9,000 racks to find the size that's the closest size to the measurement that they have on the stupid square of paper. And they have now gone, decided not to go home and have the 4-hour argument with the partner about what drill and what screw to use to hang the darn thing. They have decided to pay you to do that. And even if it's a $450 wood blind, it's a luxury purchase. And so certainly if that's true at $450, it's true at $45,000. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you're not just an interior designer. You're a trusted advisor and a guide.
Right.
And with window treatments, it's the same thing. They're looking to you for advice and guidance.
Love it. Trusted advisor and guide. And that rolls into what I'm always saying is be the leader in the room, right?
Yes.
They're hiring you to lead the project, right?
Yes.
So I love it. So Robyn, I just want to say thank you. Thank you tons for showing up. I appreciate that you shared your expertise here. And I love that, I always talk about it like, clicking the gears. A lot of the concepts that you mentioned are concepts that I'm familiar with, others might be, but you said them in a different way and you add different nuance to it. And that's the part that I appreciate. So thanks tons for showing up. And will you tell us how we reach out to you if we're interested or we want to see your work?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, LuAnn. I can be found on my website, which is rdwdesignstudio.com. And I can also be found on Instagram, and it's at RDW Design Studio. And I post lots of helpful tips every week, especially for people who are looking to design their own website.
Oh, interesting. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks ton for being here, Robyn. I appreciate you.
Thank you, LuAnn.
It's funny how a question as simple as what is marketing can teach you something. And even me, like I've been in business a billion years and I was like, right? But Robyn had so many insights in addition to this that let's run through them, right? First of all, I have always been a big proponent of marketing. Learn this straight out from the Vin Man from day one in WindowWorks. Every dip in our business, through every hard time, through every recession, we've made sure that marketing at WindowWorks stayed strong, stayed present, okay? And the reason is because without marketing, like Robyn said, sales don't happen. You have to make sure people are always aware of your business. Bottom line, point blank, that's it. We know it, but we don't always do it. And that's where we trip up. Okay. It's important to think about the difference too between marketing for a luxury client versus marketing for a low ticket item. Luxury clients are looking for a valuable connection with you and your brand. And that's where everything that Robyn talked about today comes into play. I've talked before about the importance of making sure that you are reflected on your website, your name, your story, your Fred Burns only, right? The thing that is unique to you. This is helpful advice for marketing in general, but when we talk about interior design, I think it's a non-negotiable, right? It's such a personal service that you offer people. It's critical that they have an idea of who you are or they won't call, right? So think about your website right now. Is it generic? Can I substitute any other designer's name for your name on your website? And would it still read normal, right? Or is it actually reflective of who you are and what value you offer your consumer? Okay. When you're asking someone to spend tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a project, it like I said, it's a non-negotiable. You have to start with the building of the confidence and the trust and that connection with the client. And your website is one of the most important places to do this. You have to give clients a reason to say to themselves, you're the answer. You're the one. You are the one who is going to make my home feel amazing. Okay? They're looking for an emotional outcome. So there has to be an emotional connection to taking that step with you, right? Now, you know that I am so lucky that I have Nicole Heimer of Glory and Brand to take care of all of these things for me in all of our businesses. Each time we work on a project with Nicole, whether it's a website, a landing page, a new product, a class, a course, whatever it is, she is always prodding us to dig deep and answer the questions. Lu, why are you doing this thing? Lu, how will we do this thing? Lu, why does it matter to the consumer? And Lu, what will the consumer get and how will they feel once they have it? She constantly presses us to do this work. And that is the key to this, okay? Now, I know there is that in-between time in your business. So whether you're at the stage where I am, where I do hire professionals for most of the things, or you're at the stage where you can't hire out all of the things yet, right? It's like I always say to you, you spend your time or you spend your money in all of your decisions. Think about it. Your house, I'm sure, your house gets cleaned every week. Are you the one that does it? That means you're spending your time doing it, right? Or if you have a housekeeper, that means you're spending your money doing it. So think about it in just clear terms. Am I going to spend time or money? And when it comes to your website, it's the same decision. And Robyn herself said that sometimes she actually counsels new business owners to hold off in the big investment of a professionally done website, because in the first couple of years of business, you might be still trying to figure out and discover your Fred Burns only, okay? And it might morph and it might change. So my point is whether you use a DIY template or you work with a professional to do it, the truths are there. The tenets are there. The foundation is there. And that is the things that you have to do the work to connect to who you are and what you do and how you do it. Okay? So it means taking the time to do it. But that's okay, because it's a worthwhile experience. It will spill over into all the things that you do in your business, not just your website. It will be a valuable exercise. All right? So if you're looking at your website now and wondering what's not working, you know Robyn mentioned that she has a great resource for you. She will personally take a look at your website and tell you the top 2 things you can do to make a powerful change. You can head over to rdwdesignstudio.com website-upgrade to sign up for it. And also, don't forget the first Power Talk Friday Experts book. We have Nicole Heimer's chapter where she also walks you through some of the exercises to do to start this deep work, right? So lots of ways for you to get this done and get it done right, whether you do it yourself or you work with a professional. The critical thing is, I'm a broken record on this. I look at all of your websites. I spend hours and hours every single month doing this, and it breaks my heart. It truly does. Every time I see a website that doesn't tell me who you are. Okay? It's too big of a purchase interior design. It's too personal of a purchase in interior design for you not to show up on your website. Okay? Really show up. All right? All righty. Thank you, Robyn, so much for your insights today. Truly appreciate them. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. And, decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.